There's been no shortage of books against President Trump, including from those who have worked in his administration, many going against tradition and slinging mud while their former boss is still in office. But former White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders is not on that list.
The honest part of my story is that I loved my time at the White House.
In her new book called Speaking for Myself, Sanders punches back at the critics, starting with those who hate Trump for a living.
Certainly, like everyone, the president isn't perfect and he's not always going to be easy to work with. But the thing that I knew every single day was that the president loved this country and was willing to fight for it, even if he had to fight alone.
Sanders also had to fight specifically to defend her reputation.
What's wrong with her? Why does she do that job? How can she look in the mirror every day and say, I am doing the right thing for the American people? Because you are not.
Their whole mantra is all about tolerance as long as you agree with them. And because I didn't agree with them on policy, and I was a supporter and a very vocal supporter of the president, I was fair game, and everything about me was fair game. Everything from my appearance, my weight, my makeup, my fitness to be a parent. I wasn't looking for anybody else to define me. I knew who I was. I knew that God had created me for a purpose, and that gave me the confidence I needed to go in and face every day.
As she maintained then and writes now, Sanders was also armed with the Word of God. A devotional book called Jesus Calling was her saving grace, starting with that very first briefing.
Somebody had left a leather-bound copy of it in the office. I grabbed it, I went into the other room, and I read it, and immediately I just was kind of like, I'm at peace. This is I'm either gonna be great or I'm gonna be terrible, but I'm as ready as I'm gonna be, and I felt calm and just ready to go in.
Still, it was taxing, balancing a 24/7 career with being a mom. Family won out, and when she finally decided to leave, the president displayed a tender side rarely seen in public. There are quite a few touching moments in the book. One of them, to me, was that time when you walk in and you have this conversation with the president saying you're leaving.
Yeah, here I was pouring my heart out. From the second I walked in, I think he knew, and I looked at him and I just started crying, and I not just like tearing up, like actual crying. Yeah. And so here I am sitting there crying my eyes out to the president of the United States, and he gets up and walks out of the room, and I'm like, are you kidding? Like I'm literally bawling, and you leave? But he rushes out of the room, comes right back and hands me a Kleenex and says, don't worry, Sarah, it's going to be okay.
But life hasn't always been okay, such as in college after a car accident in the Ozark Mountains.
We spun out of control and went off the edge of the cliff, tumbling down the side, only to be stopped by a tree that was growing out of the side of the cliff. And that tree hit right on the roof of the car. If it had hit 6 inches in another direction, it probably would have completely crushed us and killed us on impact.
One of the challenges that she's definitely had to overcome. Writing this book also gave her a chance to bravely write about battling postpartum depression.
I expect that I should be the happiest person on the planet, and I just wasn't. And I really struggled with why I couldn't find that happiness and that joy. And here I was, supposed to be the best day of my life, and I just felt miserable. I cried all the time, and I just couldn't figure out why I was struggling so much.
After about 2 months or so, it lifted, although battles continued on the job, often in front of the whole country.
The president has made his position known. I also think it's ironic.
Do you mind telling us?
I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay,
I politely waited, and I even called on you despite the fact that you interrupted me while calling on your colleague. I said it's ironic.
Which is why I interrupted.
People like Jim Acosta, they make it about themselves. They aren't supposed to be the story. They're supposed to report the news and let the viewer take from it what they want, but not to become the story. And so often I felt like Jim was so desperate to be the story that it was impossible for him to ever report it.
And being from Arkansas, Sanders brings with her a Southern bless your heart attitude. It's always on display, even when she might not always feel it.
I think that so many of the people that attacked me and attacked the president and my colleagues, you could see the anger and the hatred in who they were. And I never wanted to become like those people.
Instead, she remained focused on a dual purpose: faith and family.
Honestly, for the people out there that were so angry, I hope that they can find that same joy and that same purpose that I have, and maybe, lighten up a little bit.
David Brody, CBN News.